All right, well, welcome everyone. Thank you for coming to this presentation. My name is Benjamin Wright. I'm a translation consultant with Wycliffe Bible Translators. I'm seconded to and do most of my work these days with unfoldingWord as a church-based Bible translation coach and content creator. Today I'm representing unfoldingWord, and I'll be sharing our content team's experience integrating AI into Bible translation resource development. So I want to thank my team for working through this process as a team. Perry, our team lead, is here. And then also want to mention especially Stephen Monroe and Chris Smith, who have really been part of the team, really pushing our work into AI. So this presentation is not about some technical innovation largely. It's about humans innovatively integrating new technology. I want to just help and encourage others who might be in the same place as we are or have some of the same questions that we had as you are trying to integrate AI into your work, perhaps. So let's start with why and then how our team started exploring AI for our work. So unfoldingWord exists to see the church in every people group and the Bible in every language. To that end, we, like many others, innovate, we catalyze, we try to partner with others. And so for over 5 years, we have been, had a content team creating resources to help church-based teams around the world translate the Bible into their own languages. So we're also excited to be partnering with E10 and the Aquifer Project from the Innovation Lab to create and publish these resources. We're in great alignment with the goals that they have. So early last year, we actually paused development on our own translation resources to partner with SAL to modify their own translators' notes so they could be released into the Creative Commons. And that's when our team first really began encountering AI work, and it wasn't long after that that we began experimenting with integrating it into our own. Our own early efforts were probably a little bit blunt. We probably overestimated the capability of AI, at least at that point. In a lot of cases, we just said, okay, here's the raw source data. Can you give us this output without a whole lot of guidance? We also might have said, okay, here's a huge sample of data, and we haven't curated it all, but can you give us some quality output? So maybe just a little bit more specific. So at unfoldingWord, we're developing a number of integrated resources. The basic idea is, I'm not sure if it's big enough, but you have a literal text to help translators see the form of the language, a simplified or maybe an amplified text that conveys the meaning, including anything that might be implied. Then we have notes that address specific issues in the text. We link all of these to the original language so that if you're considering this metaphor, you can see with the highlighting what exactly is being addressed. So in our resource creation workflow, the first thing we need is this literal text because we base everything off of that. So that was the first place that we started with AI. We also started working together with another organization on the tech and the AI side of things to try to generate the literal text. We tried a number of strategies, giving it the Hebrew, giving it the rules that we gave human editors, and asking it to generate the text. And it did all right, and as we tweaked it, it continued to get a little bit better, but it was kind of a slow process and didn't get great for a while. So in that process, as we continued, there were three main insights then. So one of the first things we learned is that, there are several different companies offering AIs. Some of them are better, and some of them are worse, maybe in absolute terms. And some of them, are better and worse at particular tasks. So around this time, we started working with Claude and saw some real improvements over what we were getting with ChatGPT. Now that was about 8 months ago, which even a month seems like a really long time in AI, but Claude has continued to progress. We're still using that very profitably, but I'd say the newest Gemini 2.5 from Google, we've also seen a lot of good things. One thing in that process that we realized was it was kind of a slow process, having a large degree of separation between those who were working with the tech and the AI and those who were working on the content. So we would have to set up our schedules. We'd have to, they could create something with AI. We would work to, work on improvements and suggestions and go back and forth. And it can be slow if we have that, but I do think, if you can find good ways to communicate, if you have a separation of teams, that could really, if you can close the loop, then that can be improved. The third major insight was that we really, really needed to have quality data. One really good idea by the AI guys was, hey, we want to take a huge chunk of what you've already done and give it to the AI, as well as the guides that you've written for translators, and then ask it to create more of these translation notes. And that was a place where our communication breakdown was highlighted again. Some of the data that was used was from things that have been done many years ago by unskilled volunteers. We don't want translators to use that. We don't want AI to use that. And so just unsurprisingly, without having really good data, that the outcome was not great. And even as we've continued to work on things, we realize just more and more how, and I think every company is realizing that you just really, really, really need good data. So, in-house, we also started some other things working with AI. We tried having the AI focus on one or two issues instead of just saying, can you identify any of these figures of speech, any possible difficulty in translation that a translator might come. We tried to narrow it down. We discovered some things that the AI was better at, like, sure, it can identify who the pronoun referent is and write the note for it. That's pretty good. It really couldn't identify abstract nouns. It struggled a lot with a lot of the figures of speech, idioms and metaphors, and even pulling those apart. And so we were a little bit stumped on that. One member of the content team began working on using scripts to prompt the AI. Great idea. Same roadblocks, because just being able to throw a lot of the data at the AI, which would have saved us a lot of time, didn't improve the AI's results, which also connected to the last thing, which was he was using largely free models or free credits, and as soon as we got some credits to like ChatGPT, we saw some significant improvements. So that was another thing we kind of learned. So I've been giving some generalities, a few things we learned. Let me talk briefly about what it is we actually wanted the AI to do and how we graded it, and then where we've gone since then. So what we actually want from the AI is to recognize that some sort of translation difficulty appears in the text, and we want it to recognize that accurately. We want it to tell us where it occurs. We want it to take templates that we've developed and modify it to discuss it. And we want it to create what we have an alternate translation. It's just another suggestion for translators. And then the last thing is not to miss anything and not to make up anything. So we took a lot of the output and we weighted those a little bit differently, and we gave it a grade, and it just really did not do well. We never found it doing above kind of 40%. And it was one thing when the AI made up something, false positive, and we could just delete it. It was another thing just having to review it and realize, okay, it missed several things. So it was taking us longer to review the AI than to just do it ourselves. So it wasn't a help. So at this point, one of the guys from kind of the AI side of things introduced us to an app called Cursor and suggested that we work in it on note generation. If you don't know, Cursor is more or less a text editor for coding with some powerful AI features built in. What it enabled us to do is have a really easy interface to use various AIs, get our history easily, move things out of it, and also it's very easy to load a lot of data into it because you just have to put it in a folder. So somewhere in there with our in-house testing and this suggestion, the other things we've been learning, working with the other teams, it all came together for kind of a big aha moment for us. Our editors were going to need to review the notes that we were publishing. We're going to need to review the AI's work no matter what, making sure that it delivered accurate and quality content. So instead of asking AI to do what it had struggled with, then why didn't we just put the human in the loop at the beginning? So we'd been using templates for our notes for some time, and the AI had shown it could take those and adapt if it was given accurate data on what the issue was. So we figured, let's have the content creators identify the issues and let the AI write the notes based on that. So we've now split out the work. As humans, we are identifying the issue and where the issue is, and just asking the AI to take our templates and write our notes. And hopefully between the two of us, because we do like to, at the end of a chapter, we'll ask it, hey, did we miss anything? And a lot of times it'll find something that we missed and it'll mislabel it, but it found the right spot, and we go, yeah, we missed that. It's not what you think it is, but we missed something. And so that has actually gotten us to a massive improvement after we got over our learning curve. And so we're now able to generate notes and content 5 to 6 times faster than we were before. And we're hoping that even though our team is greatly shrunk in size, that we'll be able to take only 2 years, we hope, to finish the remaining 2/3 of the Bible. And the first 1/3 took us about 5. So that's what we're hoping. We continue to find ways to make the work more efficient. One of the latest things is creating a Google Sheet connected to AI so that even editors who don't want to interact with it at all, they don't want to prompt it, all they have to do is identify the location and the type of the issue, and kind of over here on this side, and tell the AI to go, and it will come back with a note. This is, under the hood, this is running N8N, which is a no-code, low-code AI workflow and agent creator. So that's what's doing the work behind the scenes here. But effectively, for team members who don't want to learn AI interaction at all, it's an AI-less interface to AI. So we're just trying to accommodate their workflow. Other things that we're trying to work on, so going back to that problem with bulk note generation, we're trying to figure out how to curate the data and how to give it to AI so that maybe we can actually move forward on bulk note generation. And kind of like that AI researcher paper that was presented at the keynote earlier, where we're trying to think about agents that can maybe specialize in certain types of issues, and then agents that can check the work and different things like that. And we just are continuing to try to adapt. Every team member on our content development team has their own workflow, and even that spreadsheet came out of workflows that we had from team members, and we're just trying to accommodate anyone on the team and empower them to leverage what AI can offer us. So, again, like I said, what I wanted to do was just kind of share our story and maybe help you think about where you're at and what you need to do to work with your team to find the right way to put AI into your workflow, how you need to work with others and collaborate. So I hope that a story of not a technology team finding a way to use these tools is helpful. That is all. Happy to take any questions or comments. Anyone who wants to share a similar journey or anything. Apparently we have until 4:30 and the next session starts at 4:45, I've been told. So, but I won't keep you here until then if you don't want to be.
So on a slide going back, you had the steps. 2 of them were green, 2 of them were yellow, 1 was white. So what part of the process now is AI doing?
Oh, yes, I'm sorry. So the humans are doing the green and the AI is doing the yellow. And number 5 is just, that's what we hope will happen. And we're beginning to prompt the AI to try to help us make, double check. I mean, because the human editors are not infallible,
Is the yellow happening in cursor, or where does that happen?
Largely in cursor. Now it can happen in that spreadsheet that we've created. The spreadsheet just makes it so that the editors don't have to prompt the AI themselves. We have an extensive system prompt that we've developed and can tweak as we need. Yeah.
You mentioned initially that in the beginning you fed the data and you just wanted to see what was returned. Can you talk a little bit about the adjustments that you made based on what was returned, what you determined those next steps needed to be?
So I think a couple of different things were what we decided. One, just switching to a different AI helped a lot at that point. Another thing is we experimented with how the size, could it generate a whole book of the Bible or did it need to go chapter by chapter? Chapter by chapter worked a little bit better. And we sort of continuously edited the system prompt of, you are writing this. The instructions to human editors to write something, the instructions to an AI are not always 100% equivalent. So we try to, I think, kind of make that more, AI oriented than human oriented, but still to convey the same information. So, in note writing, definitely having templates was very helpful. Just saying, so right now, both in cursor and in the spreadsheet, the AI gets, so if it's a metaphor, the AI gets the metaphor template. Or, well, we have like 10, but still they're all for metaphors. And so that's still narrowing the scope, on what it has to work with and what it has to chew on. So.
Comment plus kind of question. In the original part that you started with, you were making assumptions about this AI and then you were going forward, and it sounds like the guys who were developing or planning made assumptions on, okay, this is the best AI, we're going to use this, or this is the free AI, we're going to use that. My team, we use a lot of models, but we test them all. Mm-hmm. We even test the judges to see which judge is the best judge. Mm-hmm. And models keep changing, yes. And so having unit tests that even when they change, to test them to make sure they're not breaking anything. So kind of throwing that out for those who are kind of listening and thinking, okay, well, I'll just try this version of ChatGPT. Test, validate, verify. Because it may not be the best model, just like you said, but just don't choose one and assume.
Yeah. That's a great point. Thank you. Sorry. Yes.
You're talking about templates, and I'm wondering if you ever use an AI tool to look for errors in the look and feel of the style, because these resources, they're better if the user finds them predictable. So I wonder if you're using AI to look at that.
Well, we haven't yet. That is, so in terms of that, one of the things I said for what's next, having agents to check our work, that would be one thing we would do. And also sort of a vision is we've been doing this for 5 years. We have evolved significantly. And so we didn't even have templates 2 or 3 years ago. And so we would love to have an AI agent to go through our older books and say, don't change the content of this note, but update this note to this, all these notes to our consistent template for that very reason. Because we're generating them in English, and the goal is almost as soon as a book is done for that to get translated into the strategic languages, and so it makes it easier for translators if we have templates, and it makes it easier for both kinds of translators, the Bible translators and the translators of the resources, if there's consistency. So that is sort of a long-term idea that we have. Yeah.
Are there any parts of the process that could be sourced by people, or crowdsourced by people with good biblical knowledge, but maybe not technical skills?
Perry?
We tried that.
Okay, and we tried that. So that's where maybe some of that other data that we had came from. So. Yes.
How valuable do you think it is for a team to go through this discovery process and like have all the pains versus, can I just go hire somebody who knows this? Can I just go read some survey papers? Can I just go like skip the pain and maybe be more productive? Or is it really intrinsically valuable to go through and learn your own lessons and implement it?
I mean, I found it enjoyable, but I'm a little bit on the geek side. Perry, what do you think?
I'm glad you were doing it.
So I think there you go. That might be the best answer. I would say, like, based on our early experience, if you can maybe close the loop on communication between those who are working with the technology and those who are looking at the content, so that you're turning things around rapidly, that's the only tip I would offer from our experience.
Can I
Yeah.
chime in on that? I'm on a different team, but these guys are my teammates. And one of the things, watching from the outside and tracking everything they're doing, I've watched them go from those kind of broad assumptions, we're going to take this big idea and just throw it at AI and see what we get. Narrow, like, okay, can it even do this? Let's see, like, the smallest piece that it can actually do. And then build up, iterate on, oh, it's doing this now. Oh, a different model, something new has come out. Let's try one more piece. Or even discovering it makes a suggestion. And it says, oh, I gave you this right answer 100 times now. I'll give you one little piece, and you realize, oh, it can do that too. And then building that up. That iterativity that I've seen the team learn might actually be the biggest lesson. Not necessarily the AI or the technology, but just the constant processing of saying, okay, let's figure out how to break this down and then build it back up. So I've watched that whole process occur, and I think it's been a really good learning process for everybody who's seen it.
Yes.
I think, back to your question, our experience is that sometimes whoever's creating the content or the resource
editorial licensing over the content. And it's been interesting to watch. If you give it over to a translation process that's a little bit unknown and perhaps a little scary, sometimes it's helpful for whoever feels that intimate ownership of the content to be close to the process, at least the first time, or trust the people that are involved in it or have hands on it. If they feel a deep level of ownership and don't trust the process, it usually doesn't work out. If they have a low intimacy of felt ownership over the content, then that emotion is taken out of it. Perhaps you look at it that way.
Chiming in on that, one of the guys working on this is a retired pastor who's not a technician, and yet he's also been very, very open to trying stuff in Cursor. Ben and I watch him in Cursor and think that is the worst way to use this tool. Like, this is the least efficient way. And yet, his whole thing is biblical languages. And so he's watching it happening, and he's able to approve, like, yeah, that's actually a good answer. I like how it wrote that. And so because he's involved, he's not using the technology in the best way, and Ben's spreadsheet is a vast improvement on kind of how he's been doing things. But he's spearheaded so much of this work because he's seeing, hey, I'm doing this in a third of the time or less than I was before. But he's directly involved.
Well, thank you all for coming. Appreciate your attention.